Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
Hello, Bart. I've got a 2-5 hand here, like you say, out of Vancouver. It's a 1200 capped game. I'll just jump into it here.
Sure.
So under the gun, $1,200 stack. He raises to 20.
Yep.
Middle position with a $2,000 stack calls. Hijack calls, and I look down at King Queen of clubs in the cutoff. I am the effective stack against the main villain in the hand with 1,500. I 3-bet to 100.
Okay.
And both the under the gun and the middle position player both call.
So UTG to 20, call, pretty standard 3-bet here in the cutoff. Incentivize with the extra dead money. You've got a top hand here, one of the best suited Broadways. I'm going to be going over a pre-flop podcast on tomorrow's show, which is the 11th of December, rating certain suited Broadways and suited aces and what are better, like King Queen suited is much better than Queen 10 suited. Something that people don't necessarily think about. This is slam dunk 3-bet. I like it. And they both call, and you're in position, right, in the cutoff.
Correct.
All right, let's go to the flop.
So pot's 325 going to the flop,
Yep.
And the flop comes down Queen of Spades, Ace of Hearts, 3 of Hearts.
Okay, so Ace Queen 3 with 2 hearts, so you've got middle pair.
Yeah, middle pair. So both players check to me.
Yep.
I'm not too sure about this. This is one of the points that I wanted to talk about. I end up betting about a third pot, 125.
So this one I think is probably pretty close on the flop here. You know, sort of new school, like no limit type of thing. I mean, no limit constantly, obviously, changes. One of the things that you can do is sort of bet volume, I think, as somebody, like I said, all these terms are sort of made up, but you can sort of bet your range advantage. I think that has more to do with heads up pots, and I would tend to play a little bit more straightforward in multi-way pots. With that being said, if you bet really small, you can get called by worse. They're supposed to defend much, much wider. If you were to go over, say, like 150 here, I think that this would be a pretty large mistake, unless you had some reason to specifically do that with the players in the hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in a vacuum.
Yep.
I don't hate the bet. I probably would check back here or even bet a little bit more small. If you bet 125 and 325, that actually is like 40% pot, right?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
But okay, so you bet 125.
So 125 under the gun folds and the MP player calls.
Okay.
So 575 going to the turn, which is a jack of clubs.
Jack of clubs on the turn, okay.
Yeah, and this is where I kind of lost myself a bit. The middle position player now leads for 195.
So this is interesting. We're actually going to have another call like this today too, where we had like a check call lead type of play, not in a 3-bet pot, but so he bets 195, right? So he's betting what, about a third of the pot here, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just almost exactly a third, yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, you could, if let's say he had an ace here, right?
Yeah.
You could obviously have 6 outs, right? 2 queens and a 10, basically, for a straight. I mean, I guess you could sometimes have a king here for 2 pair outs, but which would be like 9 outs, which would mean in the best case scenario, just taking your equity, 9 outs with 1 card to come, 9 in a 45 would be, you'd basically need 4 to 1 to break even, 1 chance out of 5. You're getting, he's betting, you're bet 200, 2 into 575, but I mean, that's really, really ambitious. Here's the thing, like, as crazy as this looks, like, every time I'm up against this type of sort of line in a spot like this, it's never a bluff. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a stop bet here with, like, Jack X of hearts, or like, 9-10 of hearts is or something like 9-10 of hearts. I think that those hands would probably check raise or just bet larger if they were bluffing. I can't really see how you're ahead here, even though it looks very, very weak to just fold. But remember, this guy is check calling and now leading into you as the 3-better. This is going to be one of the worst hands you're going to have, right, as the pre-flop 3-better. I mean, you're going to have a
Yeah.
lot of ace kings, a lot of ace queens, a lot of ace jacks, even some ace tens. I know it looks close, but I think this is probably a fold in a 3-bet pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I end up calling.
Uh-huh.
So the pot is 965 going to the river, which is a 9 of spades.
Okay.
MP now checks to me, and this is another one that I am sort of like, do I turn my hand into a bluff here, or do I check behind?
So are you a Crush Live Poker subscriber by chance?
I am, yeah.
Did you listen to the podcast from last week? I don't know how up to date you are on the podcasts, but I had a hand that I played that I said was like a horrifically bad hand where I had 9-7 of hearts, and I raised pre-flop against like two fishy players, and the board came out like ace-8-6 with a front door spade draw, and I bet the flop, and both players called, and the turn was a deuce. I'm actually just going to write this out here so people can see ace-8-6 deuce, and I had 9-7 with a backdoor, and both players called on the flop. We're not a 3-bet pot. The turn, the guy bet real small from the middle guy. So here you've got a guy who's sort of calling last to act, but he was sort of in the middle. And the guy bet small into two people. I called. I said I probably should have raised because it really represents like not an aces up type of bet. The other guy folded, and the river was a king. So the river was a king. I had 9-7. I had absolutely no showdown value with about a pot-sized bet left. He checked, and I jammed. And I explained how, yes, like in theory, I don't necessarily know all the optimal stuff off the top of my head, but in theory, this is probably going to be one of the hands that you're going to bluff with in the sense that I don't have a front door flush draw with 9-7. And, I've got absolutely no showdown value. But in reality, though, I knew the guy had an ace, given his line. He didn't have aces up, he had an ace. But I also knew at the time that he wouldn't fold. So why did I shove? And I did shove, and the guy called with ace-4. And this is sort of how I feel about your hand here. This sort of looks a lot like an ace-10, maybe even a flatted ace-king pre. I don't know how passive the guy is in the middle. Some sort of weirdly queen-jack that's played scared now. So I just don't expect a guy... And first of all, you have showdown value, too. I had no showdown value, right? Like, if this guy had 9-10 of hearts and he paired a 9 and he checked, you might win. There's no way I could win with 9-7. So for those reasons, I would check back here. I just don't expect a guy to fold if he's going to play ace as a check call line here.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening?
Yeah, so I did end up checking behind, and he showed ace-10, so you're spot on there, yeah.
And do you think you would have got him to fold?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think so.
Yeah. So I think you probably made...
It's funny. I actually did listen to that hand.
You did? Okay. So did it kind of bring
before
up...
this particular session, but I wasn't really thinking about it.
Oh, okay. No, but when you emailed me this hand, it reminded me of that. But your hand's much better to check back because you have showdown value. You know what I mean? You've got showdown value, and I had none whatsoever.
Yeah.
But thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.